Just
Fire is a natural component of our Canadian forests. As long as you have fuel, trees, shrubs, grass, things to burn, ignition, humans and lightning, and conducive weather, hot, dry, windy weather, we can have wildfire. But with climate change, we're seeing the risk increase because we're having a much warmer world, which means more fire. So there's different ways to manage wildfires. Canada and the United States, by and large, and British Columbia use very similar approaches. More recently, some regions are using a slightly different approach. So historically, for many regions, fire is perceived as bad, and you put it out. And the easiest way to put it out is you hit it hard, you hit it fast when it's still small. Once a fire gets larger, like the size of a football field or a soccer pitch, and it's hot, dry, and windy, and the fuels are dry conifers, you now have a problem. So we're moving away from that in some jurisdictions to allow more fire on the landscape when and where possible. Sometimes to remove diseased trees or insect-infected stands, sometimes for watershed protection. But where possible, we're allowing fire on the landscape. And this is just Mother Nature at work. And the reason for this is that a recently burned forested area is unlikely to reburn for 20, 30, 40 years or even longer. So it's a natural fire break to prevent those catastrophic high-intensity fires that burn down communities. So allowing more, it's kind of counterintuitive, but allowing more natural fire in the landscape helps prevent those even larger catastrophic fires. Now, prescribed burning will always be part of a treatment to help reduce risk for communities, because prescribed burning is an excellent way to reduce the fuel loads and to thin the forest so it won't support those high intensity fires that can burn down communities. Whether it's going to be a large component, it's unlikely because prescribed burning does produce smoke and there is a small risk of escape. So other treatments like mechanical thinning using chainsaws or grazing to reduce fuel loads are also means that can be used to help protect communities. I'm a fire guy. Forest management may be contributing somewhat to the recent fires we've seen in British Columbia, across Canada, but it's largely a climate change issue. Because we are getting warmer, our fire seasons are getting longer. The warmer it is, the more lightning we see. Almost 60% of fires in British Columbia are started by lightning. And the warmer it is, generally the drier the fuels. And drier fuels means it's easier for fires to start, spread, and burn more intensely, produce more emissions and more smoke. So it's primarily a climate change issue and not a forest management issue. As I mentioned, I'm a fire guy, not a beetle guy, but from what my colleagues tell me, that we can expect more insects and disease in the future with climate change. So I actually don't like the term new normal because it sounds like we're leveling off and there's a plateau. It's a new reality, okay? And because of climate change, will things get worse? Unfortunately, yes, okay? And don't get me wrong, not every year is going to be a bad fire season. Some years will be cooler than normal, some years will be wetter than normal, but on average, we're going to see a lot more bad fire seasons. And we're going to see more fire and more smoke in the future. So moving forward, well, the first thing I'll say is that fire is not going to go away. We're going to have to learn to live with fire. We can do things, and we are doing things to help protect communities from wildland fire. There's something called Fire Smart, and there's 7 disciplines. How we build our homes, how we plan our communities, having golf courses, baseball diamonds, soccer fields at the edge of the community. Green grass is a very effective way of stopping wildland fire. Sprinklers, fuel management treatments, whether by prescribed burning or mechanical treatments, grazing. There's all sorts of ways we can reduce the risk to the community. Now, at the broader scale, we just have to learn to live with fire. Human-caused fires, they're preventable, and we can do more with education, more fire bans, and even forest closures during those extreme periods. These extreme periods are when most of the high-intensity fires occur. So if we can keep people out of the forest for a relatively small period of time, we can reduce those human-caused fires.